Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to It's Your Life. I'm Kelly.
And I'm Amy. And today we're talking about the power of letting go. So, if
Yes.
you're tuning in for the first time, Kelly and I are both health and life coaches, and we do private and group health and life coaching. And today, we're talking about a very powerful topic
Mm-hmm.
and how, when you let go of things, both physically and mentally, that you can bring clarity to your life.
Yeah.
And when you have clarity, boy, does that make a big difference, doesn't it, Kelly?
Clarity definitely makes a difference. And before, and that point where before you reach the clarity can be very stressful.
Yeah.
um,
So what happens sometimes is we stay stuck in places.
mhm.
Maybe it's because we have a lesson to learn, or sometimes it's we can't see that we're stuck.
Right.
And so Kelly has recently moved, and
Hmm.
she has become very clear on some things because the whole transition of moving. You did a lot of things that I think you can share with people on this, on
Yeah.
how you kind of prepared for it. Even going back, maybe if you don't mind, go back as far as how long you held on to your house and the reasons
Hmm.
that were there,
Hmm.
and then kind of go forward. Can you kind of give us an overview on that?
Yeah. So, I've been divorced for about 10 years. And I think ever since then, um, I've always tried to want to keep a stable environment for my kids. And when I made the decision to buy a house, that was my first goal, was to buy a home, place to call home, fix
Mhm.
it up. Anyway, I bought a beautiful home, and lived there for the last 6 years. And I put my heart and soul into that house. My goal again was always to make it super homey, the place where my kids want to come home to, whether they're in college or
Yeah.
home or have their friends over. And I was able to accomplish that, which was great. But my oldest son now is a senior, and knowing I'm going to be an empty nester in a year, it's been in the back of my mind, like, okay, I don't want to be in a single family home alone and have to manage everything myself. I have a
Mhm.
lot of other goals and aspirations in life that I'd rather spend my time on than
Mhm.
constantly doing the yard and the pool and
Mhm.
et cetera, and all the upkeep. So I just, the older I get, the more I want to simplify my life. But
Mhm.
I struggled with that decision for probably the last 2 years. I kept saying, I mean, I had been saying for years to the kids, as soon as Chance graduates, the for sale sign's going up in the yard. But I just kind of joked about it, really. Well, here we are a year from that point, and I'm really thinking, like, do I really sell my house? I
Mhm.
don't know if I want to sell my house. I love
Mhm.
my house. I put a
Mhm.
lot into it,
Yeah.
and a lot of energy and a lot of love. And and I struggled over it probably the last year. And I think being home and quarantined for COVID and having the kids both home for a while was like I was doubting my decision of ever selling at all.
Mhm.
But I would go back and forth. And I mean, you can ask family and friends of mine who I talked about it. One week it's like, okay, I'm selling it. That's it. I'm listing it. I'm done. Because when Chance goes to school, I don't want to be here taking care of this house by myself. It's a
Well,
lot of
I
work.
remember because we had already started working together when you were having that first it was, "Oh, no, I'm staying there. I'm
Yeah.
staying there for this reason," and then it was kind of back and forth, and I kinda remember having several conversations about it,
Mhm.
and I think somebody very wise asked you
Ask me what?
asked you, "Have you asked Chance what he wants? Have you ever asked
Right. Yeah. So, here I was thinking, I don't want to disrupt his senior
him?"
year. I want to keep this home environment. And, one week I'm wanting to sell it. The next week I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm going to wait. And then I started weighing out the financial end of it,
Yeah.
owning the home versus being in a condo. I'm like, well, I can save a ton of money every month if I'm in a condo. So yeah, instead I was putting the weight and the pressure on myself, and it was
Mhm.
a real struggle. And I'm playing this battle in my mind, constantly wearing myself out. And then, yes, I finally asked the kids, okay, what do you think? And, Chance was like, well, why wouldn't you go ahead and move now while I'm here and I can help you? I'm like,
Mm.
you don't mind moving? He's like, no, you know. And
Yeah.
actually, he's got several friends in the neighborhood we're in now. And it was it was like a quick, easy decision for him. And I was sitting there thinking, I have been battling this decision in my mind for a year. And you just said in 15 seconds or less, let's just do it. Sell it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Well, and
And
I found it very interesting too, because you had in your mind, so I think people can relate to this, and maybe if you're tuning in now to think about something that you're assuming one way because it's what you have in your head. This is what they want. This is what I want, because of that's what they would want. And then when you actually ask them, it wasn't the case.
not at
And
all.
so all of a sudden you could let go of the house, knowing that
Yes.
it no longer meant that you could stay there because they didn't care either way. In fact, they were actually excited about being in a new place because they had some friends in the neighborhood. So
Yeah.
sometimes we can keep ourselves stuck because of what we think we should do, when sometimes, and then we don't see what possibilities there are. So then go forward, Kelly. You made a decision, and then this multiplied. So then what was the next step when you're like, oh, well, then I'll find a place?
Yeah. And it was, ironically, a condo became available in this neighborhood that we had been looking at. And, it was completely renovated and, less expensive than my mortgage, which is a big perk. And, it was just like when I finally made that mental switch that I'm listing my house, I'm going to move. It was so freeing mentally to me. It was like, wow, why did I struggle with this for so long? And I kept anticipating the wrong outcome, the possible outcomes, which didn't even exist. And so making that
I
decision.
like that point. So they didn't actually even exist. So they were all just thoughts that you hadn't had, which I think happens a lot when we get stuck somewhere. We get these thoughts in our head and they're just holding us there. And when we can see there's another possibility, and you find out that one of them actually is true, like your youngest son was like, yeah, let's do it. And I can help you.
It's been great. And it's, we love being here. And I haven't sold my house yet. So if anyone's looking for a house, Whiskey Creek 32, Fort Myers, come on down.
But then I think the next step was really interesting too, because then you had to downsize from a really good sized home to a much smaller space. And the process that you went through of letting go things that you had also held on to for longer.
Yes. Another whole roller coaster of letting go. And, going through and just, clearing, literally half the size of my house. I have to get rid of at least half of my belongings.
You have, though. You have.
Oh, now, and
you're on the other end of it.
Yes. I'm still getting rid of stuff. Actually, I've got one last load that I brought here that I'm going to get out and take either to Salvation Army or to storage. But yeah, letting go and realizing that, you know what, I need to declutter. Downsizing is so fulfilling. It's just like, getting rid of stuff I never realized. It's like, why am I hanging on to any of this stuff anyway? And some of it's sentimental things. Maybe I'm like, you know what? I don't need to hang on to that. The next, my kids are not going to see this, whatever that was my great grandmother's or my grandmother's, whatever, or maybe it was something from an old friend or something that they gave me during a period of time in my life, like a cookbook I came across that was someone gave me when I graduated from high school. That's great. And I read her little note in there and I took a picture of it and texted her. I'm like, look what I still have. But why do I have to keep that? You can Google recipes these days,
Yes.
Just
and I think
letting go.
Letting go of all that stuff. It was also freeing because I noticed from kind of a distance, even though we're still connected, almost daily in some way. I also noticed that things that you had been putting off, all of a sudden you were thinking now you could start doing them again.
Yes. Well, And just this past weekend, a series of events happened that was kind of an emotional release for me, something that I have been hanging on to for a very long
Mhm.
time. And I won't go into the details, but it was, I came to a point where I had to, it's like the decision was made and I had to let it go. And I let it go and I woke up. It was Saturday morning or Sunday morning. Sunday morning, I woke up and my head felt so clear. Like I never realized the emotional weight
Mhm.
of an emotional decision, how much it
Mhm.
can weigh you down. And
Mhm.
when I knew that it was done
Mhm.
and I can move on and put it behind me, I felt like a new person for the last 2 days. I mean,
Mhm.
I really, really did, and realized like you've just learning to let something go, no matter how precious you think it is to you, or how valuable, or how emotionally attached you are, or dependent you are, or hopeful, or whatever it is. If it's something that is not going to come to fruition for you, or it's inevitably not going to be, you got to let it go.
Mhm.
I mean, I believe in
Mhm.
hope and everything like that, but when you come to a crossroad and you have to make a decision to go a certain path. I mean, I pray about it, and I truly believe that God puts us through things for a reason.
Mhm.
And sometimes we stay in that situation for longer than we really want to be in that situation, or that mental state, or
Mhm.
whatever it is, not being able to make a decision about selling your house or not, or letting go of something. I truly believe he has you in that season for a reason, and you're learning some valuable lessons. But when he's telling you to let go, you got to let go.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
amazing how freeing it is.
So what would you suggest to somebody that maybe that's listening to this and knows that there's a decision they have to make?
Hmm.
What hope or encouragement could you give them now that you know what you know, just from recent things in your life?
I think really, don't waste so much time and energy struggling with it. I mean, I know I have struggled and struggled and struggled with some decisions in my life way too long, and it will age you, it will wear you down. And if you can really dig deep and think about you can't predict what the outcomes are going to be. You
Mm-mm.
can't, worry about, well, what if this happens or if that happens? Because you don't know it to be true because it hasn't happened. So if you can just dig deep and figure out, I say pray about it. I mean, I have a
Mhm.
very strong faith. Give it to God, and He'll show you the way. And He has shown me the way numerous times. He's
Mhm.
probably had to put it in my path on some decisions 100 times until I see what He's trying to tell me.
Mhm.
But I think just really try to ask yourself, what is it that you want? What, you
Mhm.
know, is struggling over a decision month after month after month after month, year after year, doing you any good? No. Make a decision. Make a
So what do you
decision.
want is the question. What do I really want? And I would
Mhm.
even add on
Mhm.
to what would you like to be experiencing now that you're not? So
Right.
kind of ponder on that. What is it that
Yeah.
you want in your
Right.
life that you're not getting right now? And
And make
then,
a decision. Make
well,
a
then like you
decision.
did, like what is getting in your way? Well, what was getting
Mhm.
in Kelly's way was this emotional attachment
Mhm. My house,
to
or it wasn't to the
like,
house. It was to having that stability, what I thought was stability for my son. But
Mhm.
that wasn't, he doesn't, home is where you are. Home is not in
Mhm.
this roof or that roof,
Mhm. Right,
you know?
it's where you are. You're the stability.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
and so when you recognize that was what was stopping you is, "Oh,
Mhm.
I wanna do this for my kids,"
Mhm.
and then the question was, well, how you know how your kids feel about this? Have you asked them? And I guess it wasn't really having a conversation. You just assumed at that point, right? That they would want to be in their house till they graduate. You hadn't considered that there was another possibility, but then when you found out there was, all of a sudden you're like, oh, so I can do this now? I don't have to
Right.
wait. Well, that's what I really want. And then you acted on it very quickly.
Yeah. So,
When Kelly makes up her mind to do something, she doesn't waste any time. She's like, okay, well then I can do it. I'm doing it now.
Remember, I'm OCD. I had to
move as
check
quickly
it
as you have. So
Yeah.
yes. So I have a quote. It's actually a scripture that kind of goes along with this. It's from Ecclesiastes, and some people have probably heard this even if they didn't know it was a scripture. It's from the third book, 1-8, and it says, "For everything there is a season, time for every activity under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to harvest, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to cry and a time to laugh, a time to grieve and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to turn away, a time to search and a time to quit searching, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be quiet and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, and a time for war and a time for peace." So there's a lot of things in there that have to do with letting go.
Yes.
And I think, wouldn't you say even letting go of we have no control over anything? It's like there's a time for things, and and sometimes it is stepping back and going, what can I do right now? Should I speak now or should I be quiet? Should I build up or should I tear down? I mean, you kind of have let go of things and you've thrown away things or given away things or sold things. How do you feel now that you're moved and you've let go of some of that emotional attachment? What is it doing for you now?
The move it's like, I feel like I have moved on. And it's funny, like I have to go over to my house every now and then and just check on the pool and stuff, and because it's still listed, and I feel absolutely zero attachment to that house.
Wow, what a nice confirmation that you did the right thing too, right? That you were ready.
Totally. And being here in the condo, it's great. I have great neighbors. I love the community here, and the dogs are adjusting. They have to go on a leash now after 10 years of being in an electric fenced yard, but they're adjusting. They have to let go of the freedom of the yard.
Yeah. Dogs are a way of becoming happy wherever they are, though.
Yeah. But the emotional attachments that I've had to let go of, it has been emotionally debilitating for me for a long time. And letting go of that, I know that God, is telling me that's not where I need to be, and that I need to move on in my life. And I know He has plans for me. So I'm really excited. I really am. I'm happy. I have peace in my life.
We're happy for you too. Okay, so what is today? Is there a national day we can celebrate?
Yes, there is.
What is today?
Today is National Matchmaker Day.
National Matchmaker Day. I don't have my clapper. Yay! Matchmaker Day. So that means if you don't have a significant other, this is your day, right?
Yes.
Wow. So what shall we do on National Matchmaker Day?
I don't know. I just decided to get off of all the dating sites, so I don't know what I should do.
Okay, so I would say that if you know anyone who is looking for a friend, a significant other, maybe this is the day that you think about introducing them to somebody.
Yeah, that's right.
Kelly, you want to give your criteria? Just kidding.
We need another 30-minute show for that.
Okay, you can personal message her if you you
Oh
have any
gosh.
suggestions.
Also, it is National Trail Mix Day.
Oh, okay. Well, that's an interesting
So
combination.
I know it's National Trail Mix Day to honor all those healthy snacks for long hikes. It says so.
Well, since we're talking about the power of letting go, I would love to invite anyone who's listening to think of one thing that they
Mhm.
could let go of, maybe even over the next few days. Something that you've been hanging on to,
Mhm.
that you know in your gut, in your heart,
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
it's probably not serving
Good
you
for you.
very well.
Yes.
And so this is an opportunity to be intentional and say, if I were to let go of this, what could open up for me? What would be
Yes.
possible? Would I be able to experience more of what I want in my life that I'm not right now? And just give it a try. Just see what I mean. Listening to Kelly and how things have changed for her.
Mhm.
Um, what have you got to lose?
I know, and I think, when we have those things that weigh us down, it's something that we need to let go of. If
Mm,
there's something that's stressing you all the time or something that bothers you all the time, that one or two or three, it could be a half a dozen things that weigh you down.
mhm.
It could be
Yeah.
family related, career related, where you live related, relationships, your health and nutrition, whatever it is that's weighing you down, chances are there's something in that component that you need to let go of.
That's a great description. As you're saying, I'm thinking of my own life, and I'm thinking,
Mhm.
what one thing could be? I feel like there's a few
Mhm.
things that I could probably work on that. But I think the biggest thing that I've been working on this weekend, I think I talked to you a little bit about this on Saturday, is letting go of being in a hurry to accomplish what I want to accomplish.
Mhm.
Like being okay with the journey and enjoying where I'm at right now and not
Yes.
feeling like it all has to happen by tomorrow.
Yes.
Particularly like with writing my book, which I'm excited to share. I'm excited to get it published, but
Can't
that
wait.
sense of the weight it's a weight. It's a weight of, oh, I've got to do this every day. Well,
Mhm.
I've got a pretty busy life,
Mhm.
and all that I take care of and want to take care of because I enjoy the other things.
Mhm.
It has to fit in so it can be enjoyable. If it
Yes.
takes over and then it's just a weight of I have to instead of, oh, I can't wait to go and continue working on my book, letting go of that, I think
Mhm.
is kind of what I'm going to continue focusing on.
That's a good lesson right there because I bet you everybody can relate to that to some degree. You know?
Yeah. I mean, anyone else out there take on too many things and then have lots of things you're enjoying
Mhm.
doing, but there's a whole lot going on because
Mhm.
that's usually my life. And I love everything I'm doing, but when you add one more thing to it, everything else can't just go to the wayside. You got to
Mhm.
decide how are you going to balance it so you can still enjoy doing everything.
Right.
Um, I think we also sometimes try to do too much in one day. And I
Yes.
think having those lists and then that feeling of, oh, I have to finish the day. And it's like, what happens if you don't? It's almost like what needs to happen today for whatever reason.
Right.
If there's some urgency on it, then that would be the thing you do. And then the other things just kind of spread them out over time. And
Mhm.
that helps me as well. You
Yes.
know, Trying to do it all in one day just wears you out. And then you feel like you ran a marathon.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And then you put pressure on yourself and then you end up if you overextend yourself and you're putting all that pressure on yourself and you don't get it done, then you feel bad about yourself. And
Yes.
you can avoid that,
Yes.
you
That's
know?
true. Yeah. We avoid it by setting ourselves up for success of what is
Yes.
manageable today so that I can enjoy this
Mhm.
day and balance my day. So that's another thing, letting go of that expectation of I've got to do 100 things today.
Expectations. Oh my gosh, that's a huge topic.
Right? And I kind of did that
Mhm.
yesterday because I did a lot. Our guests left the guest house, so I was working on that. But by 3 o'clock, I really felt like I'd had a full day,
Mhm.
and I was going to go grocery shopping and go to Home Depot, and I'm like, no, I'm not doing any of that today. I'll wait that till tomorrow on that. I'm going to relax now and have a snack and rest. And so I did. I didn't go shopping until today.
You know, we could probably even expand on that and say that if we, we put all these expectations on ourselves, but how about the expectations we have of others?
Oh.
And, if we have expectations of somebody else to get something done, that's probably, I'm sure there's a lot of married couples out there that can resonate with this, but
I'm thinking about the conversation I had with my husband this morning. As you're saying that, I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I was doing.
But you know what? Our expectations of what somebody else needs to do is wrong. It's just, we can't, it's bad enough we put pressure on ourselves. Think about how you feel when you put pressure on yourself and you don't do something. What do you think that other person's going to feel when you're putting pressure and expectations on them and they don't get it done, or they don't do it the way you want, or they don't come through, or whatever? It's going to make them feel bad. And then
and I think it's all in the approach too, right? If we communicate, what I would like is this, and then they can communicate what they would like and what they're able to do, and you can kind of find a middle ground there.
Happy medium.
Yeah. So it's more of more communicating on it than just expecting them to do something, asking them, what are they able to do?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's actually, it's funny. One of my criteria is no expectations. No expectations.
For everything, or certain things in mind?
Just no, I don't, if you have expectations of somebody being a certain way and they're not, chances are you're trying to change something about somebody that's probably not going to change. And you're going to continue to hit a brick wall.
Good point.
It's just going to cause problems.
Yeah. So just take people as they come, and then they surprise you, right?
Yeah. And then when they surprise you, celebrate it. Like, wow.
Yeah.
It's great you did that, or, whatever.
Yeah. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good news, at least here in Florida. If you're not watching from watching from house, the grocery stores no longer have the direction signs on the floor. So I feel like we're making progress. You can go any direction you want this week. And I really feel it's because they listened to us last week. I was like,
I'm sure.
Yeah. I felt so free. Talk about a weight on your shoulders. I'm going to go the wrong direction and get yelled at.
Yeah.
It was very freeing to go down any direction I wanted today and go backwards and forward and sideways. And I was all over the place.
Funny.
Go back that way again. Yes.
Yeah. I went last night and was like, oh my God, the directional signs are gone.
Yes. So I feel like that's progress anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we're just about ready to wrap up here. So, we would love to have your thoughts, any comments you have on maybe what you've experienced, the power of letting go, and what clarity you've gotten from it. So feel free to reach out to us. And of course, if you're struggling with letting go of something, we'd be happy to talk with you as well. So you can always, I don't know, what do you say? DM, direct message, PM?
Direct DM me, I guess.
You can always message us. It's really easy to reach. We're happy to talk to you about that. We are practicing in our own lives, but as coaches, we also, that's a big part of what we do, is helping people get clear on what they want and help them let go of what's no longer serving them, so that they can create the life they really do love.
Yes.
Just like Kelly's in her new place.
Yay.
Yes. Okay, so we will be live from somewhere at a local spotlight on Friday. So tune in on Friday, somewhere around noon. We try to be there around noon. We're not always right on time. So somewhere there, hopefully you can catch us. And if you live in the area, check out some of the healthy places that we're sharing with you that are locally owned.
Yes.
And then please try to get out there and support them, because some of them are still struggling with reduced business coming in. So anyway, this was great. Thanks so much for sharing everything, Kelly.
Yeah, same.
It was really helpful that you were able to tell us so much of your story, recent story, just to getting in this new place. So
letting go and moving forward.
So be kind, Be kind to everybody out there, and remember,
It's your life.
bye.